What's up, everybody? CJ here with Proximity. I got my boy Carlos here.
What's good?
I got our guy Raul and our guy William here as well from the Charlie Mike podcast. And I just want to give these guys a couple seconds here to let y'all know what they do because they have a banging podcast studio here for anybody in the greater Houston area. So, guys, take it away. Let them know what y'all do.
Man, I appreciate it. We're right here located in Pearland, Texas. So we cover basically all of Houston. You know, we get a lot of interesting people that come in here. I'm gonna shoot it to Will because Will does more of the talking. Go.
As you can see why he likes to stay behind the scenes.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate it. Thanks for guys for coming in. And
sure.
truthfully, we handle everything pretty well south of Houston. You know, Houston's got quite a few podcast studios, and they've got good productions up there and good people. But at the end of the day, it's still Houston. Houston's huge,
sure.
right?
For sure.
And one of the things that we do is we're open after hours. You know, we're pretty laid back. You know, you're not going to get some fancy high rise. We're a couple of dudes that podcast as well that just want to see other people succeed.
Yeah,
and I think
no.
that comes across
Oh,
clearly.
definitely.
Yeah, they told us too. If you get out of the club at 2 and you want to book it at 3 a.m., they're here for you.
They got
man.
after hour sessions.
Yeah, hey, we don't care. We'll be here, bro. Hey, and I laugh, bro, because a lot of that shit is funny. When people come in and they start talking and they're feeling good, I'm like, man, this is dope.
Yeah, that truth serum.
Yeah. We'll tell you, we got a couple kids that come in, and man, and they talk about everything from entrepreneurship to women. And
Wow.
And they're young, early 20s. And I think one of the first ones they did, they were talking about women, and Jelly was in the back. They kept looking at Jelly. Jelly's eyes kept going like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that's right. But yeah.
Cringy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's good, man. Listen, like I said, guys, these guys have a really cool operation going on here. And they're actually our first official guest on the Proximity is Power podcast. So congratulations.
Yeah,
guys.
Man, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, we
go.
appreciate it.
And just so everybody knows how crazy this was, like we came over here to just check it out. We had a few other studios in mind, but the moment we kind of linked up with Raul and William, it was like, you know, the chemistry was there. These guys are real. They're veterans, and, you know, they're just a really good pair of guys. So if y'all are looking for a place, this is definitely
man,
right here.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
No,
it,
for
man.
sure.
Hope you guys make this your home, seriously.
For sure.
Yeah.
As give us a little more time and be all organized, however you want it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Truthfully, like
No, for sure.
And
this-
for
this is
everybody
your-
watching, you know, taking action, guys. You know,
Yeah.
hey, no scripts, no nothing here, guys. We're going straight into this. We always talk about getting uncomfortable. Hey,
Yeah.
get in there, get uncomfortable. I'm not a guy that's experienced with all these cameras, equipment, microphones. But you know what? I found my who. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Who, not how, right?
Oh,
Man,
Who, not how.
I tell you what, y'all the first people to ever come in like that and be like, let's book next hour. You know what I'm saying? Like you had a meeting at 12, like we'll be here at 2 o'clock. What's up?
I always
Yeah.
one of my mentors always talks about he was somebody labeled him as one of the fastest action takers they've ever met, and I remember telling him when I first shook his hand, I was like, "Hey man, I'm coming for that title."
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That's dope. That's dope.
Taking action as fast as you can, right? But so I thought it would be really, really cool. Again, Raul and William, you guys are very experienced in the podcast industry, in the show industry, in the entertainment industry. Maybe not so much in what we do, right? So we buy and sell businesses, we wholesale businesses. We came from wholesaling and flipping real estate. So I just thought it would be really cool for some people that have never met us before today to just have just an open Q&A. You guys, any thoughts, comments, curiosities, anything that you guys have about what we do, because I know that y'all's questions are going to come off in a real genuine and curious way, that there's probably a lot of people out there that are probably going to have those same questions.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes we get too deep into it, and
Yeah, I
we don't.
feel
You
you.
know, we got to learn how to zoom out a little bit, right? So I guess, guys, y'all kind of facilitate this thing, and y'all just ask anything and everything that y'all want to know about what we do and flipping businesses, wholesaling businesses, all of that stuff.
The first thing I want to ask is right off the back, man. So the logo and the name, how did it come about?
That's a crazy story. So I went to an event. I got invited to an event in 2022, and when I left that event, it was here in Houston. One of our mentors, his name's Ricardo. Shout out Ricardo. He invited me to this event. I went out there, and the moment I left, I called Carlos because he was still living in Corpus, and I said, we're throwing an event. And he was like, and I said, we're creating a brand. We're doing all of this stuff. And he's like, are you crazy, bro? Like, we wholesale and flip houses, bro. Like, stop, you know? And I said, nah, man, we're doing this. And I said, and we're going to call it Proximity. And like right off the bat, just instantly, right? Now, later on, when we got more serious about it, we started going back and forth on different names. He was like, look, let's put Proximity on the table, but let's look at other things, right? And I get it. It was my name, not his, right? So he had to kind of come along with it, right? I mean, I think at one point we were like, what do you think about the Overtime Boys? Like, you laughed too hard, Raul.
Oh,
You
my
laughed
bad,
way
bro.
too hard. You're like, hey, y'all wouldn't be here right now, bro.
Well, it's because you want that catchy name, right? You want that, like, oh man, I like that name. Oh, that's cool. You know, you want everybody to be like, man, I like that. I think it's cool. I want to go. I want to buy something for that. Or I want to represent that. You know, and that's what I was thinking at the time. You know, it's like all about being cool, but you know, it all came back to what's the meaning. You know, what are we really trying to accomplish here? What are we doing? What's our purpose behind this? You know, what's our code?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we came back to was, Carlos, like, what is our code, right? And we didn't really start experiencing growth till we started dumping money with certain mentors, certain people that were in that proximity that we wanted to be in. And it wasn't until then did we start seeing our own growth. And like I always tell people come up to me, they DM me all the time, you know, what's the secret? What's the secret sauce? How do I unlock success? We've been yelling it to everybody. Proximity is the way you get there. The way to the top is through other people. That whole thing, you know, one of my students not too long ago, we were sitting there, we like hip hop and rap and stuff. I said, let me give you the example of how powerful proximity is, bro. I said, there's a guy here in Houston, Zero, right?
Yeah.
The rapper Zero, that was real. I really loved Zero back in my day, middle school, high school days or whatever.
The street military.
Street, yeah, exactly, bro. I hate you.
Yeah.
No, but I said, think about Zero and what his mantra was. I could do bad on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to walk around like that. I got this on my own. I'm too prideful to go ask for help, to go tell somebody I need to learn how to be better and level up. I said, now let's compare him to Drake. I said, what does Drake do all the time? In any and every song, he's always giving flowers to somebody, paying homage to somebody.
Yeah.
He's always shouting out other people and their brands.
Always willing to work with someone else, you know.
And look where Drake is at. I said, if you check Zero's bank account and you check Drake's bank account, I said, Zero's is closer to zero, right?
Yeah.
Than Drake's is, right?
Yeah.
So that's the secret right there. And that's how proximity came about, is like, the way you get to the mountaintop is through this right here, through proximity. You guys, we talked about it off camera, but like being sober, right? Like, we don't drink, y'all guys don't drink. And I kind of asked you guys.
Not coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offhanded, right? Offhanded. How did y'all do that? How did that come about? And through being around each other, everybody in this, that's crazy. Everybody in this room doesn't drink. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, through being around the right proximity, you end up becoming the average of those people, right? So that's how proximity was born, man. That's the code. You got to work with other people. Don't be the I can do bad all on my own person.
Man, I'm glad y'all went with Proximity and not the Overtime Boys, bro.
And
You working the plants or what?
And there's so much positivity around it. You say that name, you see it. There's not a bad thing that you could say about it, you know?
Right.
And there's a big saying that goes in with our industry, you know. And a lot of people has it as catchphrase, call it proximity is power. You know, who you hang out with is ultimately who you want to be. You know, if you want to be a millionaire, well, what do I need to be doing? I need to be hanging around 4 or 5 other millionaires to accomplish my goal. Now, if I want to be a Kyle Paulo and, you know, not do nothing, well, hanging around 4 or 5 guys that are not doing nothing with themselves, well, then eventually I'll be that 5th, 6th guy, right? And again, that's how that catchphrase, proximity is power, hanging out with successful individuals to ultimately, hey, that's my mentor. That's the guy that I look up to. That's a shadow of who I want to become. Eventually, you will become that the more and more you're around it.
Before we drop the mic on stages, we let everybody know you change your proximity, you change your life. Mic drop.
That's I feel it, definitely.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But now you know the background of it.
No, we feel that. It resonates with us, too, because, you said veterans. We're a couple of military veterans, and we talk about it all the time. Like, military, especially veterans, are just associated with alcohol. And so for us, I was like, all right, you say you're drowning, you need help. Change your circle, man.
There you go.
Who are you hanging around?
Yeah.
There
You
you
know,
go.
you hit the nail on the head,
There you go. Well,
You hang
and
around 5 dumbasses, and guess what? You're going to be the sixth.
you're the average. I mean, proximity is biblical, bro. Show me who you hang out with, and I'll show you who you are.
You're right.
Right? I mean, that. How do I change who I am? There's like a ripple effect. Your proximity is going to affect your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to affect your actions. Your actions are going to define your habits, and your habits define who you are. What you do every day is who you are, period, point blank. I don't care what you say. Not what you do once a quarter, right? So if you reverse engineer all of those back to the top, it starts with your proximity, because that goes to the thoughts, goes to the actions, goes to the habits, and defines who you are. It's that powerful, man. It really is.
That's nah, shit.
I know, right? I feel like we're taking over the
Hey,
show.
it's sauce, bro. It's sauce. It really is, man.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. So tell me exactly, what is wholesaling?
Wholesaling, right? So, oh man, we kind of have to talk about the real estate industry before we talk about the business industry, right? So, wholesaling houses is where we came from, and then we created a brand new niche, wholesaling businesses. We talked about the domain name being available, wholesalingbusinesses.com, for $11.99 on GoDaddy, right?
Crazy.
There's no reason those two
Crazy.
should. It should have been one of those $80,000 make a bid.
We
right?
thought we were gonna have to buy it for somebody else.
Yeah, get with the GoDaddy broker and we'll make a bid for you, right? But wholesaling houses, if we take the concept, and it goes for anything. Like, I'll be honest with you, like I got homies that are dealing Doty and all these other things. Like, wholesaling is just a concept. You can apply it to anything. But really what it is getting a house for the low on contract. You're not buying it. Everybody thinks once you put something on contract, I got to have cash out. It's not what happens. You get the contract signed, you and the seller. Let's say you get it for the real low, 50 grand, but you know that this thing all day as is worth 80 grand, right? So you get that contract signed. You're going to send that to the title company. No money, right? No money. You give it to the title company. They're going to do their title search on it. As they're doing their title search, takes about a week or so. As they're doing that, you're going to go ahead and show it to some cash buyers, right? You're going to tell the homeowner, hey, I got to bring my partners in here, my whatever you want to call them, right? My contractors. There's a lot of different terms that people use. Or it's vacant, and you just put a lockbox on it. You get these cash buyers out there, and you're just telling them, hey, I got this steal of a deal at 80. It still needs work, but they're going to put in the work. There's still meat on the bone for them, all of that other stuff, right? And they're like, okay, let me go take a look at it. They look at it. They're like, bro, I love this house. Tell me where to sign for the 80 grand. So now you get a second contract. So the first one was the purchase contract. The second one's what they call an assignment contract. And then that is where you're assigning your original contract, your interest in that contract, and you're assigning it over to that buyer for a fee. Now, he only hears 80, but once the title company shakes down all the documents and everything, he is going to see it's 50 and 30, right? So he is going to see how much you're making. But most of the time, buyers don't count your pockets. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, like, there'll be, like, one time we had a guy, he's a flipper, and I think he was probably estimating to make like 40 grand on it, and we were making like 60. So he kind of had an issue with us making 60 because all we did was flip the paper to him.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to rehab.
And he's gonna have
do all
to,
that.
Put the
be
work
embedded in it.
right.
And that's what it really is. It basically just comes down to flipping paper without having to lift a finger in the house.
So then, just to wrap it up, the end buyer will come the day of closing, and he's gonna bring his 80 grand, not ours. And the title company's gonna say, okay, here's 80 grand. Okay, seller, there's your 50, assuming there's not other stuff they gotta pay. And CJ, here's your 30. So the money always came from the end buyer. You never had to put anything up front. All you had to do was go find the deal. Ultimately, that's what wholesaling is. You got to go find the steal of a deal. And again, you can apply that to any industry. I know guys that are wholesaling airplanes. You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
Like, yeah. So when my background being a CPA, when I started connecting the dots with mergers and acquisitions, it was like everybody, like all the big wigs out there, Cody Sanchez, Roland Frazier, Carl Allen, Jay Abraham, Jeremy Harbour, all of these guys, I've taken a lot of their courses, masterminds, all of that stuff. But it was like they were all teaching how to flip a house, right? You got to buy it. Here's the lenders you got to use. You want to put granites in there, 3-2 bricks and roof and inspections and all that stuff, right? Like all of that. And it makes you a lot of money. We got like 5 flips going on right now in our real estate company. But there's a whole nother industry before that. And that's the people that are wholesalers. That's the wholesaling industry. So these business guys, they were all teaching you how to buy businesses, professionalize them, implement systems, get it up to par, and then eventually flip it, or you could keep it, right? Whatever you wanted. Nobody was teaching how to wholesale the businesses. So that's when I realized that there was a big opportunity here. And I thought I was crazy at first, bro, because honestly, people told me it wasn't possible at first. And so banging my head trying to just figure out how to do it, because if you Google wholesaling businesses, nothing comes up, bro. Like Shopify comes up, Amazon FBA, all that stuff.
Yeah, I seen those.
Yeah.
When I Googled you.
You can't.
Those are the associated words that goes
exist.
with it.
It doesn't exist, bro. Like Google doesn't understand this brand new industry. So I had to go and get my own bumps and bruises, lose some money on some deals, mess up quite a bit. And eventually I kind of created a very similar process to wholesaling real estate with wholesaling businesses. It was the same principles. That's what I realized. You go market, you go find a really, really good deal on a business. You go find the end buyer, because there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of business buyers out there. All they want to do is just put stuff in their portfolios, right?
Yeah.
You find a really good deal, you give it to them, you make your $150,000 in between, and you're good. And you never use any of your own money. So that's why our mission kind of has been to enlighten the real estate wholesaling nation, right, on adding another income stream to everything they're already doing. Is being able to take all that wholesaling process that you know already, all the talks, all the contracts, all the concepts, and just apply it over here to businesses and make a whole lot more money. Because like I told y'all earlier, I mean, real estate is saturated, and the harsh reality is that there are a lot of real estate wholesalers that are out of business now. Over the past year to 2 years, with the real estate market cooling off as much as it has, with interest rates rising as much as they have, there's a lot of real estate wholesalers that, hey, that's how they fed their family. That's how they put food on the table for their family. And those $20,000-$25,000 fees are now $5,000 or less for a lot of people.
Introducing the one and only program of its kind, Wholesaling Businesses 101. The ultimate program designed specifically for wholesalers. I'm gonna teach you guys how to go find your off-market leads. I'm gonna teach you guys how to negotiate with the business owners and build rapport. I'm gonna teach you guys how to underwrite the deal and know exactly what you need to be offering on this business so you can make a bag. It's really not that hard. And then I'm gonna teach you how to go find your cash buyers. We'll go over the assignment contract, we'll get it closed and get paid. 100x your ROI and make this life-changing money.
And a lot far and fewer in between, right?
Yeah.
So this right here has become our mission to go across the country and to let everybody know that there's another way you can make some money and ultimately put food on the table for your family.
With what you already know, everything that you've already implemented in your operations, in your businesses that you've already been doing, it's, again, adding another tool to your tool bag and just implementing it as you go. One of the biggest things is building rapport with someone. Can someone trust you? If I can trust you, I will sell to you. That's ultimately what it comes down to. And a lot of these people, like CJ was saying, they're not in wholesaling anymore. I had a couple of guys that I reached out to. One went back to the plants. Another guy was selling cars, and I kind of told him, hey man, have you we came across this wholesaling businesses. He goes, man, I want to get back in, but he understood a lot of it. A lot of these individuals understand it because it's a 1-for-1. A lot of these they get it. They're saying, hey man, I used to do that. Well, yeah, I used to get with this. I'm pulling lists. I'm calling. I'm cold calling. I'm getting in touch with homeowners, Well, get in touch with sellers. What are the differences? What is the difference between a homeowner and the problems that they have and a business owner and the problems that they have? They're the same, guys.
Oh, the same, yeah.
They're all the same. We're all human. We're all dealing with the same stuff. They don't got different problems. If anything, they probably got worse problems, But when it comes down to these things, it's, what happens with these individuals, especially our kind of target audience. any qualified business, but these target audiences of our person of interest is the baby boomers. These baby boomers are retiring here in the next several years, right? But what's their exit plan? Or what happens when a business closes? You know, we have this thing where the house, right? When a house gets foreclosed or a house gets lost to taxes, or if it gets sold, it gets recycled. Somebody else will get to use that house, right? With a business, you can't. Most likely you can't. Once they close doors, that's it.
Yeah.
That business is gone. And with these individuals, you know, hey, their kids, they don't want to be a plumber. They don't want to be an HVAC guy. They want to be a TikTok star. Or, they
want to be
wanna,
on IG.
Yeah, they want to do
Me
something
too.
else.
I don't want to be a plumber either.
But that's the likelihood. Successful business, but you know what? Hey, none of my kids want to take over. And hey, I'm ready. I'm done. I've been doing this stuff 40 years already. I'm ready to exit. Well, what happens with that business?
Yeah.
And that's where we come along and say, hey, man, we can strategically get you an exit plan, or we can get this business and sell it for you.
Why share this?
Honestly, initially we weren't.
It sounds.
Hey, he didn't want to in the
Well,
beginning.
it sounds like something that you could stick and just be like, all right, you know, I'm gonna keep this close to the chest.
Yeah.
and
Man,
run
it was
with
like it was like a barbecue recipe, bro. He didn't want to give this out to nobody.
Yeah, especially with, I legit, I'm telling you, man, like I got chastised by some experienced mergers and acquisitions professionals that said this will never work. But I think the thing is the unsaturation of the market with businesses, with small businesses, and a small business is considered $10 million in revenue or less, right? Everything above that, that's kind of where the private equity boys, the big whales and the sharks, they start looking at those a lot more. But under that, small businesses, there is not a lot of people going out to them and saying, hey, you ever thought about selling, or I'm interested in buying, right? With houses, you got them lined up down the block, right? Like it's so saturated. So what I realized was that the leads were coming faster than I anticipated. Legit, bro. Like you can make a Facebook post and your DMs will be flooded with people that are like wanting to sell a business. That's how unsaturated. That's how much of a buyer's market it is. There's all these sellers and not enough buyers. That's what a buyer's market is, right? And I think we told you guys earlier that the stat on listed businesses with a business broker is what? Less than 10% of those businesses ever get sold. Like that stat is just mind-blowing, right? So when I realized that there was just way too many leads for me to ever even consider handling, like you just drive down, one of these Broadway or whatever streets. How many small businesses do you see?
Yeah.
Right? And they're all, I think the stat is like 88% right now of all small businesses in America are owned by either baby boomers or Gen Xers. All the old people, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So there's this huge influx and this windfall of businesses that are either going to close or want to close, and they need buyers for them, big time. So as soon as I realized how many leads there were, and as soon as I realized like we can't even handle Houston by ourselves, I was like, let's just share the wealth, bro. Because I learned from real estate, as we talked about earlier, about how proximity came about. I learned that having that abundance mindset and just giving, being a go-giver, they say, right? Being
That's one of my favorite books to recommend, bro.
There you go. Being a go-giver.
Straight up.
You can never outgive God. And I think early on when we learned that in real estate, we came over here to businesses, and again, initially we were like, no, hold on to it. And I'm like, you know what, man, like, give it, bro. Because quite honestly, you can give the blueprint to like 99% of the people, and they won't even do anything with it anyway, right?
Goes back to that barbecue
Truth hurts.
thing. I
You
said,
got to
right?
put the work in,
Hey,
right?
you can be the best brisket guy out there, and I give you the whole recipe from A to Z. But can you do it like me? More than likely, probably not, because most of these people won't take that action. And it goes back to that principle, too, of, could we buy every house in America, from coast to coast? It's impossible. We can't buy every house and flip it and renovate it and get it back on the market. It's the same thing with businesses. We were in Orlando about a month or so ago, And there was a individual there that ended up getting on the course, and now we have a med spa that we would have never had we never been in that city. But again, seeing the opportunity and individuals taking action, now we're dealing with a med spa in Orlando, Florida, which are hot, by the way, and would never be there. But again, going out there and letting these people know that, hey, there is gold right here. A little action taking with what you already know. Guys, I mean, this thing is going to blow up.
So if you start seeing Carlos with lip fillers,
mind you know, there you go. Hey, but if you need anybody to know, I can hook you up.
That's dope. Let me challenge you a little bit. Explain wholesaling to me, but in like 45 seconds.
Okay.
You did a really good job of it.
Right.
Like, I understand what it is.
Right.
But I'm talking about, this
Condense
podcast.
it.
Yeah, condense it.
Right.
Elevator
like a
speech.
13-year-old,
yeah,
man.
or like The Office. He says, explain to me like a 10-year-old, and then he goes, explain to me like a 5-year-old. So wholesaling houses or wholesaling businesses?
Businesses.
Okay. Wholesaling businesses is essentially getting a business for lower than what it's currently worth, finding an end buyer for it, a cash buyer for it, and assigning your interest in that contract to them for a fat spread. Right. So if you find a business and you contract it for $500,000, you can assign that piece of paper without paying for it. You can assign that piece of paper to a cash buyer of businesses for, let's say, $600,000, and they're more than happy to pay for it because it's still a deal at $600,000.
I dig it, man.
Yeah. Wow. Let me borrow $600,000.
And here's the thing, guys, that, just like everything else, as we told y'all about the real estate being saturated, and it's just a lot, everyone doing it. This is the same thing with this, okay? Eventually, there is a window here for this opportunity, because it's kind of like everything we can think of crypto and going back to that beginning of the time. We can never go back to buying 0.0111 on Bitcoin, right? It came and went. We missed that opportunity. But this is that opportunity where people can jump on this wave right here and see that foreseeable future and create that generational wealth, because we can't go back to that crash and burn of 2008 when real estate went bad. That came and went already. Now they say, well, it's happening again and things like that, but we can't go back to that specific time. Or even with real estate, when wholesaling houses was just a new thing and people were saying, hey, you could buy a house with little or literally no money. And people were like, nah, that's crazy. Well, we're kind of going back full circle here in history and saying, well, you can buy a business. Let me ask y'all, have you ever thought that you could buy a business with no money?
No.
No. What is the limiting belief? You got to have millions of dollars, right? I got to have some bread to go buy a business. I can't even approach a business owner. How do I approach a business owner? How do I talk? These guys are the same. There's no different. I'll share a story. One time, one of our first ones, when we first started doing this, and it's a little longer. We kind of make the assumption, because we're in Texas, right? So we say, houses are like, fajita. It's quick, fast. That thing comes out sizzling. It's all you know what I mean? And it's quick, right? But for businesses, it's like a brisket. It's low and slow. It's going to take some time, because these people have been building this thing from the ground up, from the dirt. They're not just going to be in one day, in 1 hour. Here you go, Carlos, man. Here's my business, everything I've ever built, everything I've ever done, all the sacrifices, blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm just going to give it to you. No, it's not going to happen like that, And it was an experience, because we're used to just locking up a deal in literally less than an hour, build some rapport, and say, you know what? Ultimately, let's find what works for you. Let's find what works for me, and let's just get this across to the finish line. But it's a little different because again, they have that equity, they have that sweat in there, they have that.
And there's other people involved too, right? I mean,
correct.
They might have a 5-10 team staff.
No, yeah. So again, it's a little bit longer process, but it reaps the reward 100 times. 100x your return is what we tell people. That's one of the biggest things here. In real estate, you can make some good money. We've made some good money, but it's a race to zero now in real estate. And can you make some good deals out there consistently? Yes. But how hard you have to work for those deals, man. I talked to a guy that had like several deals on the table and was amounting to $20,000. That's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But with all the time and energy you put into that, one business can get you across the table and get at least a minimum of 6 figures into your pocket.
And I think the people that will sit there and say, no, like, you got to keep your head down and whatever you're doing, just double down on it. And put blinders on and only go this route. And if you're not good at it, then get better at it, right? Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like being adaptable and with new information, new changes in the economy, all these different things, like you should take in all that new information and if you need to pivot, right? Because ultimately, look at Blockbuster and Netflix. Right? I mean, Blockbuster said, keep your head down. Don't change what we're doing. Ain't no way anybody's ever getting out of VHS or DVDs, right? They're going to come in here and rent them. They have to.
They ran
Look what
everything.
happened.
Shoot,
Look what
I was there every Friday.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
that's what I'm saying. So it don't matter how high up you are. If you're not always keeping your eyes open and your ears open to new potential opportunities to pivot, you end up like that, like Blockbuster instead of Netflix. And so I just think that's the guys that are in real estate that are maybe not vibing with us right now. There are a few of them. They're kind of more
Shame
like,
on them.
I know what I do. This is what I do, and I'm just going to focus on this. Those are going to be the guys that are going to find it gets tougher and tougher and more expensive until, like Carlos said, a race to zero, man, for profit.
What do they say? When you're a hammer, everything's a nail.
Exactly. You can't build a whole house with just a hammer.
Yeah.
You need the
You gotta
need
have
the
different tools in your
screwdriver.
tool belt.
Yeah, you see a screw. Oh, it's a
And
You need
nail.
a
if
little
you-
string to
if you
pop.
can apply it to what you already have, there's so many things out there that basically getting this and applying it to what you do. We're relating a lot of stuff with the barbecue guys. You know what I mean? But when they get something and apply it to what you already do, you're not going to tell me you don't take another pitmaster's advice when he tells you, hey, I do this, that. No, you're going to grab it and you're going to tweak it and you're going to put it into your own flavor. It's the same thing here too. Is that a lot of our real estate family can just grab what they already do on a day-to-day, and when you have something come across, because I've talked to plenty of people, we be going to real estate events, we be going to this, and I'm saying, what do you do when you have a business that comes across your way? Well, if it doesn't have any real estate involved with it, man, I'm just kicking it to the door, man. What am I going to do with it?
Right.
I don't got money to buy it, and again, the philosophy is you're not going to own it. You're not going to go in there and run day-to-day operations here. You're just going to do the same thing that you did with the house. Zero involvement. You're not going to rehab it. You're not going to lift a finger, and it's the same concept.
And no money.
And no money.
None of
and
your
what's
own
that
money.
limiting belief? I can't buy a business. I can't buy several businesses. I don't have that money to be doing that. Well, somebody told you about the same thing with houses, and you thought they were crazy back then. Now they're doing it. Now they've been flipping paper for years. But guess what? It's the saturation.
So tell me about how long that process takes to sell a business.
Right now, it takes 60 to 75 days to wholesale a business. And what I'm learning, being a CPA as well, there's something called a Q of E, a quality of earnings report. And it's like everybody passes that off during the due diligence phase of a business, because nobody wants to get their hands dirty, get in there, grab the financials, grab the bank statements, run through it. It's almost like a mini audit, right? And you provide this report that has a CPA stamp on it or whatever, and it says, these are the numbers, this is what this business really and truly looks like from an objective standpoint, right? That's what takes the longest during the due diligence period, and honestly the most expensive, because those reports can run anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 when you prepare them. So as we've been learning here, we're still, young in the game. Being a CPA, I now realize that these Q of E's are not that hard to make. It's just everybody keeps playing hot potato with it during the due diligence period, right? So I'm creating a process right now to take that Q of E, and right now it's taking 30 to 45 days to get one back. That's the turnaround time. And that's why it's taking 60 to 75 days to close these things out. But I'm going to turn that Q of E into a 1 week turnaround. And when I hammer that process down, these businesses are going to speed up in terms of how many we can wholesale quickly. So I would say that process can get cut down to 30 to 45 days once I get that Q of E down. But currently it's 60 to 75.
So what kind of businesses are you looking at right now?
There's a big influencer. Her name's Cody Sanchez, and she coined.
Her husband's a vet, I think.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he was Navy SEAL. I think.
SEAL.
Yeah. She coined the phrase, I believe, boring businesses.
Oh, yeah.
And that's honestly what you always have to think. What does your end buyer want, right? Like even if you're flipping a house, well, they're gonna want granite, they're gonna want whites or whatever the colors are. You know what I'm saying?
The bells
All
and
that.
whistles.
Right, the bells and whistles. So what does our end buyer want for businesses? They want something, it's like a turnkey landlord, right? They just want something they can stuff in their business portfolio, but they also want it recession proof. Recession proof is, I don't care how broke you are, if the AC in your car goes out,
It's getting
you're
fixed.
gonna go get fixed.
Yeah,
Especially here in
Texas.
Houston.
You're right.
Like, hey, mom, I need some money. Like, I don't care who you get it from. That shop is going to get revenue from you in the ups and the downs. So those types of businesses, HVAC companies, plumbing companies, all the housing related companies, roofing companies, all these businesses that are going to be more recession proof, med spas, right? Women are always going to pay to improve themselves, right? So like all these companies where they survived COVID or they've survived recessions before, those are the ones that the end buyers want. Restaurants can be done. They're just the likelihood is a lot less because of the variability of their revenue. And
the ones that stand the test of time, these companies have been here 15, 20, 30. We had a body shop 40 plus years into the community. Those have been through some stuff. So those are standing the test of time. We definitely want those. I mean, who doesn't? Especially because they already have their clientele set up and it's going to be continuing. We had one individual where they had a dealership come to the owner, a dealership, and say, hey, are you going to still be doing body work? Because if you are, we're not going to open up a body shop.
A Dodge dealership.
Yeah.
That's
And
how
for
powerful
real.
that small business was in that city.
What do you think generations of customers,
No,
That's
yeah,
exactly
for sure. Definitely generations of customers and, being embedded into that neighborhood and that community and saying, hey, I want and even the guy doesn't even lift a finger. I want him touching my car.
Yep.
That name
It ain't
means
even
something.
him, it's his team, right?
Yeah.
But they associate it. But
Who
no,
you
that's
surround yourself with, man.
That's
That goes
exactly
back to
right.
that.
And Carlos and I were talking about this earlier, but I told him we were talking about different ideas and different business ideas. Everybody with an entrepreneurial spirit always has these ideas, right? Whether you're in the shower or the bathroom or wherever you're at, right? You're like, man, I got $1 million idea, right? And I stopped him and I said, listen, we're never starting another business ever again. We're only buying currently existing businesses. It's like the difference in building a new house versus buying a rehab project at 3-bed, 2-bath, whatever, right? That's the mindset that we're going with moving forward, because I don't know another game where if you're making $1 million in whatever you're currently doing in your business, where you can go buy another company that's making $1 million and you can add $1 million in sales to your company from AM to PM in one day. There's no other game on the planet that will let you do something like that. And so when we realized that we're playing the boss of all bosses games here, we were like, this is our purpose right here.
Here's what I see, or here's what I've been messing with this idea, is the American dream used to be owning a home, and that's what you guys were, right? Wholesaling homes. What I see now, the American dream is owning a business.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of...
It's like the new rental house.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're 100xing.
Back in
your
the day,
ROI.
even it was, I want to have a home, but I mean, our generations too is like, I'm okay moving. I've actually been in my house 4 years now, and I'm like, well, let's go ahead.
Right?
And get out of
Or
here.
like a lot of people will chill with their parents still, like we got buddies that still live, with their parents or a condo or an apartment, like
Shit, I
different,
wish Wish I could. I stay with my parents too.
No, but that's my point is like, that's no longer a flex to today's day and age. Owning a business is.
Yeah.
Right. And if I could give like one more example of like the adaptability and how important it is to not be a blockbuster, there was a big lawsuit that came out a few months ago. I don't know all the details because I'm not a realtor, but basically the realtors lost and they're appealing it right now. But the implications of that lawsuit are such that if the realtors lose their appeal, like the Realtors Association, I guess, they're no longer going to pay realtor buyer agents, only realtor seller agents. Think about that. What incentive are you going to have as a realtor bringing a buyer to the table when you're not going to get paid for it?
Working for free.
So again, the importance of adapting, pivoting, looking up ahead in the economy, looking at the outlook, assuming and guessing what's going to happen, making educated guesses. That right there is super important, so you don't end up like a Blockbuster, and you stay alive and thrive like a Netflix, because all of us got Netflix bills. All of us do.
I canceled
Or
Disney
you got
last
your brothers or your cousins or your aunts or somebody.
I think I pay for a lot of people's bills.
That's what
You
I'm
do,
saying,
and we thank
man.
you for that.
See, there you
Hey,
go.
we thank you for your service, bro. You're the real MVP, bro.
I tried to be slick last month, and I canceled Disney, right? Because I was like, I don't use this, and no, I never saw my kids use it. Sure enough, my kids were like, Dad, I saw you deleted this thing, but I went ahead and renewed it for us.
I did it with Hulu too. That's what I did too. I did the same thing. I was like, nobody uses it, and I got like 3 text messages like, Dad, pay that. I was like, oh man.
But adapting, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. That's the new flex, bro. Like I tell people all the time, right here, right now, we're in like the Wild West cowboy stage of buying businesses. Like that's really what this period is. It's like when 2008 hit. Like you could have your pick of whatever you wanted in terms of houses. Like that was that time, bro. But over time from 08 to now, it got so saturated. And you can't unsaturate a market. You can't get all these wholesalers and investors and gurus and everybody else. You can't pluck them out of wholesaling houses anymore. But with this industry, it's that 2008 wave and opportunity again. And this is the time where we all need to go out, talk to some business owners, simply asking the question, hey man, you ever thought of selling before? That little question in and of itself has gotten us deals.
And here's another big example of the saturation, with wholesaling houses and just real estate in general. You have everybody attacking that one homeowner. I'll call back, we have called back in the day. We have our guys and saying, hey, there have 10, 15 people that have called them. And they have another 10 coming out this week. And you're basically just getting lost out of those 10, 15 people. Now, coming to the businesses, guys, you're the only person that's probably even going out on that appointment. And 2, if you do make an offer, you will probably be the only offer on the table.
Yep.
So there is nobody else to compete with you right now because it's so unsaturated.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, with anything else, there's still hard work, right? Like, don't get me wrong, it's much easier than wholesaling houses. But I mean, don't get me wrong, you still need to have your hustle. You still need to be able to be disciplined. We have these 3 laws of success that we created. These 3 laws of success: number 1, just start. Number 2, be consistent. And number 3, stay uncomfortable. If you follow those 3 laws in anything that you do, I don't care if it's golfing or buying businesses or cooking, I don't care what it is.
Podcasting.
You follow, podcasting, exactly. You
Anything.
follow those 3 rules, you're gonna be successful. Just start. Don't hesitate. Don't worry about the haters. Like that's a lot of reason why people don't post on social media as much as they should, or why they don't put themselves out there. They're always worried about what other people are gonna think. Oh man, who cares?
Who cares?
Like when you're broke, they're gonna hate on you. When you're on top, they're gonna hate on you. Like who cares?
I never had someone that was more successful than me hate on me.
Yeah.
You're right.
Always wanted me to do better, and even this more of as a plus. What can I do to help you get there?
You know what I like about you guys, and I think that what connects us is that we're not the secret holders. You know what I'm saying? We want to see other people succeed.
For sure.
And that's the vibe I get from you guys. And
Absolutely.
that's what we do, man. We're no secrets. We tell you how it is and what it is and what works
Right.
and what doesn't work.
Right.
Now, it's up to you what to do with it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's just-
And to wrap up the 3 laws, number 2, be consistent, right? Like I always ask people, what is LeBron James known for? He ain't known for playing the
Flopping.
piano. He's known for flopping and playing basketball, right? But the point is, like, he dedicated every single day of his life to basketball. That's consistency, right? The Mamba mentality, right? You have to be consistent in anything that you start up. If not, you're not gonna get there. Period. Point blank. And then number 3 is the hardest one of all: stay uncomfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're lazy and fat. You don't do everything to the best of your abilities.
I was waiting for him to look at me, bro.
And when you're uncomfortable, you're growing, right? Think about that. When you're in a brand new setting, you don't know nobody there, you don't know the information, but you know you want it, you know you want to acquire it. Your heart's beating, you're perspiring a little bit, right? Like whatever it may be, you're uncomfortable, you should embrace that feeling, because that right there, that's when you're growing, bro. When you go to sleep at night, and if you didn't get outside your comfort zone, if you stayed inside your little comfort bubble all day long, you got to go to sleep and accept the fact that you didn't grow not one iota during that day.
That's the only way to grow, man, is staying uncomfortable. I told y'all guys, man, I done picked up my whole family and left, and I'm in a whole nother city, and I challenged myself this year to stay uncomfortable. And it's just a mental thing, you know, mentally. And we talked about cold plunges, and that's going to be a topic for the future. But again, mentally, just preparing yourself to put out all these fires every single day. Little fires are going to happen. Hey, we just putting them out daily. And then when the big fire comes, I'm mentally prepared to take on that big fire and just move past it. And again, only by staying uncomfortable every single day has allowed us to grow and basically not even phase anything that happens, you know, because things do happen. But hey, we're on the bigger and better things that they're gonna come with challenges. And I know those challenges with success, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be bigger once we get where we want to be, you know? And that's the biggest thing, is learning how to deal with them now, because those problems are still going to be coming, and they're going to be bigger.
More money, more problems.
Man.
All day.
Any other questions, fellas?
Man, hey, for the newcomer, who are you guys?
Well, we are Proximity, right? You can find me on Instagram at allday.cj.
And you can find me at the Carlos Carrillo on IG.
Yeah, and we're not that hard to find, guys. Again, we have an e-course, Wholesaling Businesses 101. I got so much sauce, I had to put it all in a 101, and I got a whole nother 201 that's going to come out in 2024. This is just the first step. This is the first step in a brand new space. People ain't ready for that. It's too much pica. It's too much pica for everybody.
It's too much sauce.
Picoso, bro. No, but like I said, you know, anybody that wants to get at us, you can go to wholesalingbusinesses.com. You can find us on there. You can find us on IG. We give a lot of free game away. We're just trying to bring everybody along for this ride that we're on and share the wealth with everybody, man.
Dope, man.
I guess
Hey, remember, proximity is power, right? You change your proximity, you change your life.
Man. Hey, I feel like burning this building down. Let's go! Yeah.
Love it.